This video is brought to you by Trend Micro's Cleaner 1 Pro. In one of my latest desk setup episodes, I asked you if you want me to rate and share your own desk setups, and I have to be honest, I didn't expect so many of you would take the time to photograph, share, and describe in details your creative, productive, and entertaining corners. With so many great submissions, I'll have to break this video into more than one episode, but rest assured, I'll be scrubbing through each and every submission I have received chronologically. So grab a drink, let's have some fun. I will try to list the most important items in the description below, and let's start with Dale Goodwin and his minimalistic MacBook setup. He's featuring a white tabletop, last generation Magic trackpad and keyboard, and a MacBook Pro, which according to Dale is also used in tandem with a MacBook Air. Dale is using a 27-inch monitor and a light bar by a brand that I cannot recognize from the photos. Overall, this is a classic and a very clean setup which can perhaps be optimized by elevating the monitor a bit more, which Dale might actually be doing, to open up the laptop underneath and use it in a dual monitor scenario when necessary. The next submission is by Italo Vietro, which is a PC setup for the most part, while also sometimes being used with his M3 MacBook Pro. Italo has sent us additional photos of the shelving unit behind the chair, which accommodates one of my favorite Marshall speakers, some hexagonal nano-leaf panels with wooden finish, and a Philips Hue Go light. What's interesting to me here is the 32-inch 180Hz monitor, which is by a company called Lozamma, which I had never heard of. But, judging by the photos, this looks like a very nice, decent IPS panel. I'd love to hear more about it in the comments below if you're familiar. Italo's chair is the Gesture by Steelcase, which I've heard nothing but compliments about, and for those interested, the PC build features an RTX 3080 graphics card. His peripherals of choice are the Logitech MX Master 3 and the Keychron K6 mechanical keyboard with brown switches. I appreciate the personal touches throughout the desk setup, including the key light addition above the monitor with the dedicated Logitech 1080p stream cam. Italo's Elgato Wave DX mic is cleverly installed on a retractable arm, and I see some AirPod Maxes tucked in the corner. Nothing to say here aside from the exposed charging cable on the below shelf. Perhaps you can tuck this in the back for optimal cleanliness. Next up is Denny, who is clearly a Nomad fan, having sent me his trifecta of an Apple Watch band, AirPods, and iPhone case. Oh, and let's not forget the Nomad wallpaper on the 27-inch Dell monitor. This is an interesting desk, and I'm saying this because it comes with a matching shelf riser, which makes me think that Denny has custom built this. His peripherals of choice are the MX Mechanical Mini Keyboard and the MX Master 3S mouse. As you can see, this is clearly a Mac setup which he used with a laptop stand in the past that is now tucked away in the, far left corner. Aside from the questionable stand for the Sony XM5 headphones, I can only quote,
"Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?"
I appreciate the submission, Danny. The next setup is from Nicolai, who rocks an M3 iMac placed on a custom narrow tabletop right in front of a window. Alongside the iMac, Nicolai also uses the M3 or M4 iPad Pro, HomePod 2, and a hidden Xbox below the desk. Great use of space, Nicolai, but I have few concerns. The first-gen iPad is now becoming a collectible, and using it as a prop placed in front of a window alongside the HomePod will result in sun degradation. Perhaps you can preserve them alongside your headphones by not keeping them there. Also, how are you not kicking the Xbox below? Okay, next up is Derek, who wrote an entire article about his setup, and for a good reason. There is plenty to talk about here, as Derek is clearly an audiophile, but I'll leave the audio/recording specs for you to enjoy in his article in the description. By the way, if you want to participate in a future episode, be sure to click on the participation link below, and be sure to provide details of your setup that will help make the episodes even more useful. And if you end up enjoying this video, subscribe, because why not? So Derek's setup features an amazing 40-inch ultra-wide 5K 2K Dell monitor, a below desk shelf system which he DIY'd himself to feature two large trays on top of each other to accommodate two 14-inch MacBook Pros. By the way, why do you need two MacBook Pros, Derek? The chair he uses is called Hayworth Fern, and I think it looks amazing. His DAC, amp, two stream decks, and pretty much everything else is powered by the CalDigit TS4 dock, and zooming out of the setup and how it sits in the room, all I can say is kudos to an amazing job, Derek. I can literally spend an entire video or even two only on your submission, so guys, I encourage you to read his article and all the intricacies about it in the description below. Now, whether you have a PC desk setup or a Mac, one app you can take advantage of is Trend Micro's Cleaner 1 Pro. It's an all-in-one disk cleaning manager which features a plethora of useful tools like a built-in toolbar on the Mac which provides an overview of the computer's performance like memory, CPU usage, battery status, and more. With a single click, it helps you visualize, maintain, and free up storage space, going even the extra mile to clean and optimize Windows registry, eliminating errors and crashes. Cleaner 1 Pro's user-friendly interface allows swift removal of unnecessary stuff, identifying those taking up the most disk space through its built-in disk map feature. Something that I use a ton on both my PC and the Mac is the App Manager, which helps me properly uninstall applications, ensuring no leftover files stay behind to clog either of the operating systems. There are other impressive features to talk about, such as the ability to get rid of duplicate files and similar photos, but I encourage you to explore Cleaner 1 Pro yourself for free by following the very first link in the description below. Next up is Jordan, who has sent us his version of an Apple ecosystem featuring an M3 MacBook Pro, a 12.9-inch M2 iPad Pro, and a 21.5 LG ultrafine monitor, which is a rare breed and a personal favorite of mine. Two stereo-paired HomePod minis are firing on both sides of his shelf, and when Jordan needs some peace and quiet, the AirPods Max are there too. Great use of space, tucking the laptop in the back and having the iPad as a sidekick, but I keep wondering how you elevated the iPad in the middle in one of your shots, as I can't seem to find a bracket for that purpose. Also, fantastic wallpaper. Moving on to Martin, who has sent us photos that look like stock images, and I'm saying that as a compliment. Very inspiring Apple setup featuring all the classics: MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, Mac Mini, Magic Keyboard and trackpad, and a very interesting implementation of a pegboard on the side. I've never seen that before, and I'm super impressed by the overall organization and simplicity. By the way, does that pegboard stay firmly in place while using your computer? Let me know. The color scheme here is amazing. The combination of the warm tones, tasteful greenery, and diffused light. A lot of inspiration has come my way, so thank you, Martin. The next submission is no less impressive, and it's by Sayan. These images actually look like renders, and this is definitely a setup I wish I could see in person because it's that clean. We have an LG Ergo monitor, Logitech MX Keys keyboard, and an MX Master mouse, which I assume is connected to a PC tower underneath. The color combo of the peripherals and the docking station, which I think is the C Smart Link, is amazing, but not as inspiring as this shot with the vertical slat panels in the back and the frames on the wall. Let me know where you got the frames from, Sayan, because they look fantastic, and thanks for your submission. The next one is courtesy of Woodley, who is a content creator from Haiti. As with everything great in life, his setup took 4 years to reach this state, and just like me, he keeps changing, the position of everything. I see two 27-inch LG monitors, the secondary being placed on an arm vertically, an amazing tabletop and shelf, and some IK Multimedia iLoud micro monitor speakers, which are no joke. His webcam is very quirky, and it's called Poly Studio P5, and it kinda looks like a laser radar tucked in the corner of the main monitor. M2 Max MacBook Pro paired with TS4 dock, Logitech peripherals, and a great taste of matching wallpaper aesthetics. Fantastic setup. Next up is Tom, who's sending us a massive 49-inch Samsung monitor setup, which pretty much dwarfs all desks. This monitor runs at 144 Hz, and it's very impressive in person. I see the R1280T speakers from Edifier, which are an absolute bargain and sound amazing. And in terms of peripherals, we again have the classics: Logitech MX Mechanical, MX Master 3, BenQ light bar, and of course, Ergotron monitor arm to carry this massive monitor. The mouse and keyboard are sitting on a Balolo desk mat, which I have a discount code below, by the way. So, thanks, Tom. This is a great setup. Steering away from minimalism, I have to show you this setup from Nicolò, which features not one, but 3 towers. The main PC is an Intel i7 with 32 gigs of memory and an RTX 3080. The second one is actually a NAS server, and the cherry on top is Nicolò's gutted Alienware Area 51 that features custom internals like AMD Ryzen 7 5700X, 32GB of RAM, and an RTX 3060. From the looks of it, this third PC is dedicated entirely to sim racing, as Nicolò is entering that rabbit hole with his both feet. Now, I keep wondering if the dedicated sim PC is really necessary, since the main one is plenty powerful for that purpose, isn't it? Anyways, Despite having 3 large computers and 3 monitors, a 27-inch 144Hz LG, plus a 27-inch 75Hz Philips and a Xiaomi curved 144Hz for the racing, the room still looks very organized. Not sure how easy it is to keep everything cooled and dust-free, but I can appreciate the effort, especially when it comes to the attention of the cable management everywhere. Thanks, Nicolò. Next up is Jacopo, who uses an M1 Mac Mini and an M1 MacBook Pro. His single monitor is 32 inches and it's by LG, model number 32JK850F. There are a few quirks here, the first one being the 3 Uplay bars stuck behind the monitor and the biochemistry book, which gives me a lot of respect for Jacopo. Keychron K6 keyboard with loop switches, MX Master 3 mouse, Logitech StreamCam, same brand speakers and Xiaomi light bar. Very nice. Albert, who's a designer and 3D visualizer, is in a little bit more complex situation, having mounted a second monitor for a vertical stacked setup. As far as I can tell, this is a custom PC setup featuring a very pleasant mix of white peripherals, the most interesting being the keyboard. Let me know in the comments the model please, because I'd love to know more about it. White Edifier MR4 speakers, MX Master 3 or 3S, and a USB audio interface. Great recipe for a setup that preserves your eyes. I appreciate the submission, Albert. Next up is Manuel, who has 2 setups integrated into one desk, both for himself. The setup on the right is focused for remote work, and the one on the left is for streaming and gaming purposes, featuring a dual monitor setup and a PC placed as a physical separator. Now, for a moment, I thought that these 2 setups are put together to serve 2 people, but being used by a single individual begs the question, isn't one setup enough? You can surely integrate 2 machines to run on one monitor, which will give you a lot more space and a breath of fresh air, instead of having to work on 2 separate tiny locations. Maybe I'm wrong. Moving on. Here we have Fred from France, who's asking of me to guess where his laptop is hidden. Now, since I can't see the whole picture, I'll just shoot and say that the laptop is mounted on the back of the monitor. Am I right? Now, I can't say much about the items on Fred's desk as he hasn't provided us with much information, but by judging by the first photo, I can share my concerns of the ergonomics of the desk unit, having such a thick drawer compartment between the tabletop and his leg area. Next up we have Yuliyan Dimitrov with his sit-stand desk. For starters, this is a desk that is very well organized in terms of cables, both topside and underneath. Yuliyan is sharing that he has created and printed his own desk accessories like the laptop stand. The main monitor is AOC 32-inch 1440p display with 165Hz refresh rate, and the secondary is a Samsung 1080p one, which is mostly used for work. Next to his MX Master 3S sits a Logitech G Pro League of Legends Edition gaming mouse, and Julian's iPad comes into play when he wants to draw on Procreate. Julian, I know you have interest for an enough mousepad, and I have few left in stock, so feel free to send me a message via my website if you want me to send you one so you can purchase it. Bartosz is sending us the evolution of his desk setup, the final one being the version with the vertical slats. Here we see an ergonomic sit-stand desk, nice oak tabletop and matching shelf, and a side-by-side monitor setup that is perhaps powered by the 2 Dell laptops that sit next to the window. Come to think of it, there's a third laptop placed underneath, which is again by Dell, which really begs the question, why so many laptops for a single setup? I appreciate the matching aesthetics of the wood, the Edifier MP230 Bluetooth speaker, and even the Yeelight light bar. This is a cozy place to work on for sure. You mentioned you're looking for a decent pair of speakers, and I can recommend you the Edifier R1280DB pair, which are very reasonable in terms of price and sound amazing. They also come in a beautiful wood finish, which might match your vibe. I have definitely taken inspiration from your submissions, and I appreciate the time you've put in each one. Those that didn't make it in this episode will be covered next time, and again, if you want to participate in a future episode, head over to the participation form in the description below. Meanwhile, be sure to give my 4-in-1 desk setup some roasting in the comments in this video right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as my newsletter, and as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is E, over and out.